All right, folks, good morning. All right, let's get started here. So for today, January the 15th, Wednesday, we have the following information. So at 8:30 a.m., we had core CPI month over month, CPI month over month, CPI year over year, and the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Um, CPI came in weaker than expected month over month. It came in as expected for, core CPI came in weaker month over month. CPI month over month and CPI year over year came in as expected, and the Empire State Manufacturing Index came in worse than expected. So, no positive surprises. So, as far as it goes, that should be bullish for the market since we're focusing on the Fed and what they might do with interest rates. So, taking a look here, the NASDAQ ETF currently spiked up very sharply in the pre-market. You can clearly see right there. Spiked about 7 points in the pre-market. And yesterday's session was mostly neutral, but leaning more bearish than bullish for sure, but more or less neutral, yesterday's trading action. All right, having said that, we didn't have any good opportunities yesterday. It was a pretty low opportunity day. We did try AMD, but that did not work out. The stock basically was going down, but didn't continue to go down, reversed, and basically took us out of our trade. All right, having said that, let's take a look at which stocks are moving in the pre-market for today. They're a pretty long list, so let me just jump into these really quickly here. APLD, we'll take a look at first. Um, that does not qualify. It's only down 2%. We need it to be down at least 6% or up at least 6%, one or the other. But it's neither, so we'll pass on that. Next up is ARBE, which is currently only up 1.7%, so that doesn't qualify either. CLSK is presently up only 4.25%, so not up enough, so we'll pass on that. Let's see, LAES is currently up 27% on 20 million shares. It's at least $1 per share, so that one definitely qualifies, so we can add that to our pre-market watch list. The symbol is LAES. All right. Next up is Lucid. That's only up 3%, so we can pass on that one. Mara is currently up only 4.5%, so we pass on that one as well. MGHI, sorry, MGIH, said it backwards. That currently is up over 13% on 13 million shares. It's at least $1 per share, so we can definitely add that MGIH to our pre-market watch list. Next up is NITO, which is presently up 8%, 1.3 million shares traded. It's at least $1 per share, so we'll add that NITO to our pre-market list. Next up is, let's see, OS, actually, no, sorry. Next up is Palantir PLTR, and that is currently up 4.7%, so not up enough, so we'll pass on that one. Plug Power, let's take a look at that. That's currently up over 6%, 6.76%. 2.5 million shares traded. It's at least $1 per share. That does qualify, so we can add that to our pre-market watch list, although it does not look like it's trading very actively, so I wouldn't expect much out of that. QUBT is next. Try that again. That currently is up over 18%. 5.9 million shares are traded. It's at least $1 per share as well, so we can go ahead and add QUBT to the watch list. Next up is RGTI, which is presently up over 16%, nearly 17% up. 45 million shares are traded. It's at least $1 per share as well. So we can add RGTI to the list. Next up is RZLV, which is presently up 6.45%. 1.6 million shares are traded. It's at least $1 per share. So that does qualify, although it does not look like it's very active at the moment. But our ZLV will be added. Let's check SoFi, SOFI. That's currently up 6%, 1.8 million shares, and of course it's above $1 per share. So we'll add SOFI to our pre-market list. Next up is SoundHound, SOUN. That's currently up over 6%, 2.7 million shares are traded, and it's at least $1 per share. So we'll add that to our radar. Excuse me. Next up is we'll check Tesla. I don't think it's up enough, but we'll see. TSLA. It's up 3.3%, so not enough, so we'll pass on that. Next up is VCIG. Now this one was up enough, but it's currently up only 0.5%, so we can pass on that one. Doesn't qualify yet. Next up is VMAR, which is presently up 49% on about 22 million shares, and it's at least $1 per share. So we can go ahead and add that to our pre-market watch list, VAMR. Next up is VRME, which is presently up over 16%, 1.8 million shares traded. It's at least $1 per share as well. So VRME is now added. And that's about it for what I can see. I see you guys have typed in some other symbols. TSLL should be up, yeah, 6.4%, 7.7 million shares, at least $1. That's a Tesla ETF, so that does qualify, so we can add that TSLL. And HIMS is mentioned. I'm guessing that is a NYSE stock. It is. But it doesn't look like it would qualify anyway. So, if you see any other stocks that meet all four of our criteria, let me know in the chat. The four criteria that are required are it must be a NASDAQ listed stock that's trading at least $1 per share in the current pre-market. In the current pre-market session, it must have already achieved at least 1 million shares of traded volume, and it must be at least a 6% price change, positive or negative. So SGBX is mentioned, so let's take a look at that. And yep, that definitely qualifies, up 157%. 75.3 million shares roughly have traded. It's over $1 per share, so we can add that to our radar. Symbol again is SGBX. Next up is BKYI. Yeah, we haven't mentioned that one yet. That one's currently up 21%, 13.8 million shares roughly. It's over $1 per share, so we can add BKYI to the list. QSI, let's see, that's not mentioned yet, so let's take a look at it. QSI is currently up over 20%, 4.2 million shares roughly, and at least $1 per share, so we'll add QSI. Next up is RR. That one's currently up over 16%, 3.2 million shares roughly have traded. It's at least $1 per share, so we can go ahead and add that to our pre-market list. Next up is SGD. That's currently up, that's only up 1.6%. It was up more, but it's not up enough now, so we'll pass on that one. VCIG is mentioned. Let's take a look at that. That's presently not up enough either. It's only 0.51%, but it was up more before, but we'll pass on that one. Next up is MSTX. That is presently up over 10%. Um, 1.4 million shares are traded. It's at least $1 per share as well. So we can go ahead and add MSTX to the radar. Lastly, we have SMST, which is presently down 9.54% on 3.6 million shares roughly. And it's at least $1 per share. So we can go ahead and add that to our pre-market watch list as well, SMST. And then finally, we have PHIO mentioned. Okay, then never mind about PHIO. All right. So um, that will be enough. So we'll go ahead and wrap up for today's pre-market pulse, folks. Please be sure to like the video. I see we have 4 likes, but more than 4 people are watching. So please be sure to hit the like button. That greatly helps us with the YouTube algorithm. Also, be sure to subscribe to the channel so you get notifications when we publish a new video. If anyone's watching this video on a replay, if you're not familiar with our company, check out fundertrading.com. That's our website. You will see a link in the description to this video. Other than that, for everyone who's part of the coaching program, I'll see you there in about 23 minutes, and we'll pick up for today's session. All right, folks, have a great trading session. I'll see you for tomorrow's pre-market pulse. Take care.